After a long and contentious confirmation process, Rachael Rollins is finally officially the U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, the first black woman ever in the role. She was sworn in Monday in a private ceremony at Boston's Moakley Courthouse, and U.S. Attorney Rachael Rollins joins me now. Congratulations. Good to see you.
Always a pleasure, Jim.
When I saw you in December, you said your swearing in would be sometime in January, but you knew exactly when it was going to be. You wanted it on your father's birthday. What was that like?
Best gift I've ever given him for sure. And he turned 74 on January 10th. And it was just really powerful to turn the corner on the 5th floor in the Moakley Courthouse and see him and walk to him and give him a big hug. It was emotional for both of us, but a lot of what I do, I'm just really happy he's proud of me.
You know, I know you spoke to the governor, who had the power to and exercised the power to pick your interim replacement, Kevin Hayden, head of the sex offender registry. Was he your top recommendation to Governor Baker?
I was able to give 3. I won't rank them, but I will definitely let you know, Jim, I had the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Hayden. I did not know him prior to speaking with him, and I am hopeful that he's going to do a tremendous job. I know he has worked in that office. I know he is a consummate professional, and I look forward to working closely with him as the U.S. Attorney, as I will be working with all 11 district attorneys in the Commonwealth.
But to be clear, was he on your list of 3? You just wouldn't rank him? Is that what you're saying?
After speaking with him, he was one of the names that the governor and I discussed. I didn't formally give a list to the governor, but I had a very positive conversation with Mr. Hayden. As I said, Jim, I hadn't met him prior to that, but I was impressed when I spoke with him.
Did he speak to a commitment to continue your view that caused you to win a landslide election, your view of what criminal justice should look like in Suffolk County?
I encourage you to have him on your show and talk to him about what he'd like his administration to be. But I have been clear, Jim, the people of Suffolk County voted for 4 years of what we proposed. And it's my hope that, if Mr. Hayden chooses to run and gets the vote of the people of Suffolk County to make changes, that he can make that office everything that he wants it to be.
By the way, I'm just told in my ear by a producer he'll be here Wednesday, so I will ask him the question. You know, if I were writing a thing on your legacy, I think most people would think it'd be about those 15 minor offenses that you believe that you would not prosecute in most cases. I would add to that list your Integrity Review Bureau that obviously caused quite a few people who'd spent decades in jail, maybe ending up potentially spending their lives in jail. Some of them have sat on this stage, released after wrongful convictions. Will there be an Integrity Review Bureau to examine wrongful convictions out of your new office as well?
We are looking, Jim, at all the different ways that we can improve an already exceptional office at the U.S. Attorney's Office. We'll never be afraid to look back to see whether the office got it right. And we have examples in Judge Wolf, who, from the bench has held not only this office and others accountable to make sure that we're doing it right, but I hope my legacy is the Integrity Review Bureau. I hope my legacy is push the Project for Unsolved Suffolk Homicides, where we have now indicted 3 individuals for murders dating back 20, 30, and 40 years that likely never would have been looked at without putting resources into those type of matters. And remember, Jim, we don't get to create Crime Strategies Bureau, Integrity Review Bureau, or push unless we divert a lot of our time and attention away from those nonviolent, non-serious crimes.
You know, you've been asked about 1,000 times, including by me, what's it going to be like when you're the boss? The only people you report to are the voters, as compared to the fact you have a number of bosses now, the Assistant Attorney General, the Attorney General, the President of the United States. So let me ask you give you a couple of examples where that may come into play. You and Marion Ryan joined me, the Middlesex DA, not too long ago when you filed a lawsuit against ICE for their presence in a courtroom. Let's assume the same lawsuit in the future was filed by your successor, DA Hayden. You'd have to defend ICE in a proceeding. You comfortable with that?
I am actually. And what we would do, like we do in every circumstance when I was an assistant United States attorney, and certainly as the United States attorney, we're going to look at every single case and we're going to look at the facts. And although as DA, Jim, I did not have, my boss was the voters of Suffolk
Yeah.
County. And I have several people, the Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco, the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, and of course, President Biden. That's a pretty great roster to be able to reach up to and get advice and counsel from, so we can see what's happening in the rest of the United States of America. We know under this administration, and I am proud as DA to have stood with DA Ryan. As a result of that lawsuit, this new administration has implemented many of the changes that we were advocating for when we filed that preliminary injunction. But yes, I sat shoulder to shoulder with Andy Lelling, me as the DA, him as the U.S. Attorney, in that courtroom with Judge Talwani for that preliminary injunction. And now I'd be sitting next to somebody else, but in a different role if that happened
Well,
today.
let me give you one more example where I don't think you'd seek the guidance of your bosses, but it would be given a directive given to you. An appellate court overturned the death penalty for Jahar Tsarnaev, the surviving marathon bomber. It's before the Supreme Court. If it was sent back to the trial court to have another sentencing hearing, I'm assuming, based upon the position of the Justice Department before the Supreme Court, they would want you to press for the death penalty again for Tsarnaev. You're comfortable doing that as well?
I wouldn't have taken this job, Jim, if I was not comfortable with all of the incredibly important and hard decisions that have to be made. But I have been told, and I've had the privilege of speaking with 6 prior U.S. attorneys to me, and Judge Harrington, I want to schedule time, so it will be 7. He's a former U.S. attorney as well. There is a lot of thought that goes into those decisions, and we will be reaching out to Maine Justice to get input, but I am comfortable making that decision. I won't tell you what that is going to be because I don't know what the ruling ultimately or what the guidance is going to be for me, but I will make that decision, and it will be thoughtful and deliberate.
Can we move from a couple of hypotheticals to matters that are actually still pending, carryovers from U.S. Attorney Lelling's office? When you were here in December, we talked about the Holyoke Soldiers Home, and you expressed disappointment that a judge dismissed the charges against the 2 leaders of that home that led to 70-some deaths of veterans. It was a proceeding initiated by the Attorney General. I asked you if you intended to continue a pending investigation that your office, in conjunction with the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, was in the midst of. You said you would check, and if it was still pending, that you would. Have you checked? Is it still pending? Will you?
So I'm on day 4 of my job,
I know that.
and I am, but we are getting briefed on all of the important cases, and this office handles a tremendous amount of important cases all over the Commonwealth. This is one of them. And Jim, I've said to you before, I'm the daughter of a Navy corpsman.
I know that.
I look at these veterans as people who have risked their lives, so people like me have the ability to voice my opinion, and it is deplorable what happened to them and how their lives ended. I want to commend the Attorney General of our Commonwealth, Maura Healey, for stepping up and bringing those charges, and I was disappointed that they were dismissed, but without disclosing anything else, I can say that remains a very strong passion in me to make sure that when vulnerable individuals, particularly those that have given so much to this country, are wronged, that we do not sit silently and allow that to happen, that we stand up as the government and say that it is unacceptable, and whoever did it will be held accountable to the full extent of the law.
So there's still could be federal charges against those men coming out of the U.S. Attorney's office, your office?
I will tell you that if that is going to happen, you will hear that first from me, but as of right now, I can't discuss or disclose.
You know, one of the incredibly troubling things from our last discussion, and I'm assuming virtually everybody who watched it felt the same way or read about it afterwards, were the threats that you received. I asked you if there was any trickle-down impact of the verbal abuse you took from the Republican senators, and you described death threats, racist threats. You told CNN that you got either a voicemail or a phone message saying, hide your kids, and obviously there are 3 of them that you mean a huge amount to you. Has that dissipated at all in the days since, now that you're there, or is there still more of this crap?
You know, I want to first say that I got a lot of really amazing messages too, a really positive outpouring of support from not only people that voted for me, but people around the country and my law enforcement partners. And Jim, we are in a time right now where tensions are incredibly high. We just had the 1-year anniversary of the insurrection of the Capitol. And so although I'm not going to really speak to the details of my security, what I can promise you, Jim, is if I did not feel safe and I thought that my 3 children were not safe, I would not be speaking to you today as the U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts. And I have full faith in the U.S. Marshal Service, the Boston Police Department, and others that are looking at social media and other ways that people might be reaching out to me or posing threats.
Did the U.S. Marshal's Office explain to you why they denied your request, by the way, for security?
So we've had many conversations, and what I can tell you is that I have a very strong working relationship in these 4 days with the U.S. Marshal Service, and I am not fearful for my safety.
U.S. Attorney, you praised Andrew Lelling when you were here last time. I know you worked with him, you've made clear before. Let's assume we talk, and which we will, in a couple of years, after you're a couple of years in the job. How will the people of Massachusetts know that there is a different U.S. attorney sitting in that chair? And by the way, that question is not meant to disparage anyone at all, but you are a different person with a different view of the law. How will they know that there's I was going to say a new sheriff in town, a new U.S. attorney in town?
My hope is that we're going to be a little bit more active in the community, only because I come from that, Jim. As a former elected official, as someone who had to knock every door in order to get the job that I had, 185,000 votes, I'm really proud of that. We earned every single one of those votes when I was Suffolk County District Attorney. But you know, it's a different role, but I want people to know the exceptional work that the U.S. Attorney's Office does. There are differences. We have an entire civil unit that has done some tremendous work regarding civil rights, looking at the Springfield Police Department or the Mass Department of Corrections. We can look at, you know, school systems, housing, voting. I want to be educating people about the exceptional work that this office does. And I hope there's more opportunities now for me to do that than maybe previous administrations.
Congratulations, good luck, and look forward to talking to you much in your new role. Thanks for your time, U.S. Attorney.
Absolutely.